I'm going to turn now to client behavior during meetings. In my materials, I pointed to what I called the evil twins of client reaction, which is outrage and obstinacy. You will find both appearing in meetings and probably relatively frequently. Outrage is often directed against the other side. It's often directed against the law. It's sometimes directed against the judiciary when a decision doesn't go the way that they want. But what it does do is it effectively solidifies a client's feeling in a particular way. It's not a good thing to have. And the only thing that a lawyer can do in the face of a client's outrage is to make sure that you are a bedrock for that client. Make sure that you are able to say that the law that you applied, the steps that you took, they were proper. Your interpretation continues to be the interpretation that you have. You don't change your mind simply because a client is angry. Because that simply causes, number one, it's unhelpful because I'm assuming that the advice you provided to begin with was based on the research that you've done, and it was correct to begin with. So if you change it, you're pulling the rug out from the client, both in terms of what has happened, but also in terms of their trust in you going forward. It helps at points like this to let a client know, to acknowledge their outrage, and to say that it would be a simple matter to change your tune and to follow them along down that path. You often can gain respect from a client if in the face of that outrage you are able to say, you know what, we did the right thing anyway. I have a brief note in the materials that deals with the issue of danger. If a client is becoming angry, that's one thing. Clients often become angry. But if a client's anger reaches the stage where a lawyer does not feel safe in that meeting, that lawyer should leave that meeting. And that's obvious, maybe, but lawyers that I know have a real sense of duty to their clients, and often they put that duty in front of a duty to themselves. And it's just a very small warning to listen to yourself if you're feeling even the slightest bit uncomfortable with a client. Get another lawyer in the room, call the meeting to an end at that point, but listen to yourself in that particular case. It's rare. It's very rare, but it's happened in my career a handful of times. And it's something I've had to force myself to learn over time. The flip side of outrage is obstinacy. Obstinacy I find harder to deal with than outrage. Outrage is something that you can identify quite easily and you can say, nope, that's not good, we're going to deal with that. Obstinacy is a sense on the part of a client that they are right, regardless what anybody, including you, tells them. And it can be obvious and overt. It can be someone simply telling you that that's the way it is. But it's much more likely that it will hide, and it will come out in the form of a client listening patiently to your advice and then ignoring your advice. Or listening patiently to your advice and during the next meeting asking you the exact same question over again, hoping for a different answer. A client's obstinacy is often married together with crying and misery and I reference it as sort of an emotional black hole where they're trying to get you to agree with them. It's hard to stay out of that at times, but it's very important that you do. It's very important that you maintain your ability to lead your client rather than follow your client. One way of really dealing with this so that you don't find yourself following your client is to make sure that you provide written confirmation of what facts you've been told by that client and what advice you're providing to that client on the basis of those facts. Because if the client comes back later on and said, well, you never told me that, or ask you the same question over again for the fourth time, asking for a different response, you can point to something that's written rather than simply saying, I think I told you that before.